Hello again. So I believe last time I came in and spoke, I was going over the years of like 1 to 5. Um, I'll continue from there. Go into my what happened after my mom decided that they were going to impromptu, take us on a little vacation, so to speak, while they were fighting their addiction, and decided to. Oh, hi. Yeah, this is Paige, my co-host. Sorry, don't mean to interrupt, but she's very needy. Um, So yeah, my mom had decided that she was going to go on a road trip with us, so to speak, and drive us around while she had her addiction. She had stolen all of my grandmother's money, like took her credit cards, her checks, basically emptied her bank accounts, all that stuff, in order to just feed her needs. And it wasn't entirely her fault. My mom wasn't mentally stable. Like, she was not all there in any way, shape, or form. She had a lot of other people offering advice or giving her, oh yeah, we're your best friend. This is the good thing to do. Like, if you want to keep having us as friends, you would do this. That's what friends do. And my mom was very gullible, or naive, and just really believed in the best in everybody all the time, to her detriment. So yeah, we were just homeless for like the next year or two. It felt like a year or two. Honestly, I can't tell you exactly if it was that long. All I know is I went from completely being unstable, like bouncing from house to house, going to different schools for a little bit, and then not going to school at all. I would skip out on entire years, to it all coming to a head. And the person whom my mom was seeing, who I'm assuming was her supplier, was like, "Hey, man, you got to get rid of the kids, and I need you to do this because kids are kids draw attention to a lot of behavior, and they point out, like, hey, there's something wrong here. These kids shouldn't be out in the middle of the day, and like if we were wandering around out on the street, we could get arrested, or the cops would ask where our parents were. You can't stay in an environment like that without something coming up, especially if you're moving around a lot. Um, so you gave us the option of how to get rid of us, and my mom was like, no, let's drop them off at their dad's. My dad had gotten out of jail, prison, I'm assuming, because of what he did with my sister's assaulter. Um, and so we ended up moving to Georgia, got dropped off there, and I got to meet my stepmom and see my dad again for what first time in a while. And from there, I would like to say that things got better, but they didn't. I mean, yes, it was stable uh, domestically. Like, I had a place to stay, I had a house. Um, but my stepmom was young, and I'm guessing she didn't really know anything about us kids, because then it just proceeded to get harder. She was, I don't know if she was narcissistic or bipolar or what the issue was, but I, being 6, obviously was the worst thing in the world to have happened to her. Um, I understand that going from a single family household with one son to a 3 children household can be a very big financial strain, but what you do with that is, you should not take it out on the kids. So she did. I was her main punching bag, mentally, sometimes physically. Everything I did was wrong. I was stupid. I'm on the spectrum, so there's a lot of things that I didn't understand. I didn't even get diagnosed until I was in my late 30s. Uh, and it was just abuse, just like one thing after another. Everything I did was wrong. Every time I would do something right, I would get like praise, and it would be nice, but not even an hour later, it was just some wicked like 180s, and I was being called every name under the book. I was insulted, and I was told that I'd grow up to be a not straight individual, and it's very taxing all the time. And this went on um, for as long as I was living there. We moved from Georgia to Washington State that year. A year after that, actually, we finished out the school year, so I was 7, and I went to my grandmother's in Mississippi for the summer. Me and my sister did, and we just hung out there one last time, and then we went up to Washington. And then from then forward, it was third grade on to sixth grade. I stayed in Washington, and like the abuse was pretty consistent. I was always in my room. I was always going to ISS because I was acting out in school because, I had some stuff that really needed to get looked into. All of the traveling with my mom when she was on drugs, like there's a lot of stuff that happened to us kids that I won't go into. We can totally go into that some other time when it won't get like banned or taken down, but there's a lot of bad stuff happen. And we just got shipped around. Well, that was then, but anyway, we made it to Washington. I was living with my grandmother, my stepmother, and she was just mean and mad all the time, and everything I did was wrong until it came to a head where like I just was refusing to comply with whatever it was that I was being asked because I didn't understand it. It was just constant nothing being right. So they sent me to my grandfather's house in Arkansas, and he was cool. Like I lived with my paternal grandfather. We played video games sometimes. We chopped wood. He taught me how to like work on a farm and take care of the animals around there. We had chickens, little bantams, and we like I chopped wood. I learned how to weld. I learned how to work on cars and do all this really cool stuff. And he made me get into Boy Scouts and football and gave me structure and gave me a home. And then my parents found out that he was supposed to be really disciplinary and an authoritarian kind of parenting, but he wasn't. Instead, he just loved me and treated me like a child and didn't look at any of my mistakes as a fault of my character, but mistakes as a child. So yeah, he was just working on trying to build me back up, and he knew there was a lot wrong, and he was teaching me how to defend myself, and he thought that I was being abused, but couldn't. There's no proof because you need evidence back in the early 2000s and stuff. And he was just doing his best, and they sued him for custody because, by their words, that he wasn't abusing me and he wasn't being mean enough and he wasn't hurting me, and it was like a vacation home for me, and I was supposed to be getting mistreated because that's what I deserved. So they sued him for custody, and I got to finish the school year out. Actually, yeah, I finished out the school year, and then I moved back up to Washington State, and then my parents spoke with the school board and told them that they needed to hold me back because I didn't deserve to go up a grade because I don't really know what their excuse was, but they somehow convinced the school board to hold me back based off of my merit because I was not doing my homework and stuff. I wasn't really doing classes and things like that because every time I came home I felt like there were bigger emergencies to deal with than just school. So I looked at school as being kind of trivial, and it was a joke. And I was very disruptive, and I got in trouble a lot in class, and I was always in school suspension. I'd never fit in with the school. I had friends, but they were friends because they liked to see how wacky the stuff I would do would be. And it was just a lot of that, like a lot of instability everywhere. So they moved back to Washington, and I think that's actually where I'll cut it off. We came back. I finished out sixth grade a second time, and then they shipped me off again, and I will get into that on my next video. Thanks for coming and hearing my story. I'll finish this up eventually, working on it one day at a time. If you want, you can hop into a live with me after this and say hi.